Hey saddle hunters, it's a cold snowy day here in Michigan, so I thought I'd bring a review to you. I have in my hands the Trophyline Covert Lite. It's a brand new saddle from Trophyline. It's a big departure from last year's Ambush series. This is a mesh saddle with a brand new rope bridge. It has adjustable leg straps, adjustable waist belt, a lot better buckles on it than last year's model. A lot of improvements in this saddle, guys. So I'm going to start off, I'm going to show you a tabletop review and kind of walk you through its features and some of the differences between the Ambush series. And then I'm going to put it on, show you how it wears, and then close off by putting it in a tree and give you some thoughts on how to adjust it and how it might be comfortable for you. But this is a good saddle, guys. Stay tuned and you can learn a lot more about it. Thanks for watching. We're going to get started by looking at the saddle's features and design and construction and just point out a little bit about it. Before we jump into that though, I just want to point out that when you buy this saddle, they throw in 2 pouches for free, no extra cost. They're really nice pouches. One of them is square and this one has little small pockets on the outside which you can put some things in. They're not as stiff, I don't believe, as last year's, though that just could be a figment of my imagination, but typical Molly closures on the back. They're really nice. Like I said, this one's more of a square, and then this one's kind of more round, almost like a water bottle style, and then it just has a single attachment method. But guys, 2 pouches with this saddle. The only other company that I know of that gives away a pouch included is Tree Hopper, and they only give 1. So that was a nice bonus feature. Moving on to the saddle here, I want to start by talking a little bit about some of the changes that they've made with the Trophyline Covert Lite as opposed to the Ambush series. First and foremost, you'll notice that the saddle is framed a little bit different. Last year's model in the Ambush had this similar webbing, 1 3/4 inch webbing on the top and the bottom, but it also wrapped around the sides. So it went down the side over here and down the side over here, and you can see that they've done away with the webbing wrapping down the sides. So I think that's kind of nice. It makes the saddle a little bit more adjustable as far as how it fits on your body. They have added, though, this 1 3/4 inch piece of webbing through the middle of the mesh part of the saddle, which obviously this is a mesh construction. And so that adds a little bit of stability and rigidity to the saddle. They still have 2 rows of Molly loops on the top, but one of the things you'll notice is that last year the Molly webbing on the top was the entire width of the top strap here, and now they have sewn 1 inch webbing on top of that, so it just works a little bit better. These Molly webbing sections are sewed open, so you can see that. Those don't work as well with some of the designs for pouches where the pouch is meant to just slide down and then it has a little tri-glide that flips over. Those typically don't work as well with these styles that are sewn open, but with your traditional Molly closures like on the pouches they include, they work really, really well. I'll also point out that they have added sections of Molly down here on the bottom on both sides, just two sections here and 2 sections here for anything that you'd like to attach lower. They've also added, kind of in the style of the tethered microfit adjusters, a strap down here that you can work through. And guys, I'll point out while I'm on this that the straps and the rope that come with this are really stiff when you get them. But you can just basically work that through and you can see it just tightens it up. What that causes is the saddle to cup underneath your butt a little bit more. So that's a nice adjustment that they didn't have last year. The problem with this, though, they sewed a loop on the end, which was good thinking, but the loop isn't big enough to get your finger through, so it's kind of hard to, you can't really even use it to pull down. I wish they'd have made that a little bit bigger. But one other major difference, this saddle is larger than the Ambush series. From the top down to the bottom, it's 16 inches, so it's just a little bit taller than last year's model, and it's 26 inches wide, and this is for a medium-large saddle. The waist, or not the waist, the leg straps are totally different. On the Ambush series, they were large and they were fixed. And now they have smaller 1-inch webbing that is not fixed. It's sewn right here at the point, the kind of the bottom of the saddle, and then they just use buckles, and I'll show you where there's attached when we flip the saddle over, and they've got webbing keepers, so that's really nice. These are 25 inches long, so they should give everybody plenty of adjustment as far as leg straps go. I think that's everything on the back, so let me flip the saddle over and I'll show you some of the features on the front. As I flip it over, you can see the lineman belt loops here. They're fairly small, but they stay open, they're rigid, they're reinforced with 2 pieces of webbing, so that's pretty nice. Here's where the leg straps attach. They just come around and buckle on, and this is a good buckle, guys. Very firm attachment, kind of a Cobra style, releases easy, and it adjusts easy. So you can pull them through pretty easily and going in both directions. So these are done well. I like those little buckles. They're quick, they're pretty quiet, very easy click. You can hear it. It's kind of an audible and a tactile click, so I like those. The bridge is basically the 1 3/4 inch webbing that wraps around. They've kind of folded it in on itself and then reinforcement. So that's a totally different design from last year. Kind of more your traditional style for as far as saddles go. The bridge is also a completely new design. You know, they had that fixed double webbing bridge that really didn't have any adjustment at all. Well, they've totally ditched that and they've gone with a removable, adjustable rope bridge. So you can see this is just girth hitched on the one side and it has a sewn eye, which is really nice. That cuts down on bulk big time. And then on the other side, they have a prusik knot, which allows you to tighten it down. So that's about as low as you can go. So that's probably about 1 foot, and it adjusts out quite a ways. It's got a double overhand stopper knot on the end of it. This bridge goes out to, if you were to measure basically from where it attaches on this bridge to the carabiner where it attaches over here, it's about 36 inches long at its longest point. So that should just give you an idea. Goes from about 1 foot to 36 inches. So that's an adjustment range that should cover most people. They've included a black diamond carabiner on the other side. So that's pretty nice. I like black diamond stuff. Moving around here, I'll show you the waist belt. This is 1 3/4 inch webbing. Same style buckle that they've used on the leg straps, but just larger and in red. Got good tactile and audible clicks again. Kind of loud, but if you work it slow, you can quiet it down. There's no manufacturer indicated on this. It just has the Trophyline logo, and there's also no specifications as far as load or anything like that stamped on it. So it's a pretty generic buckle. They have included webbing keepers on both sides. So over here they've just got that slip through tag in kind of retainer, and then they have a tri-glide on this side. One thing I'll point out to you while we're talking about the waist buckle, this is a medium large, and I think it's for up to maybe 36, 38 inch waist, something like that. The waist belt is 65 inches long, so they kind of went overkill on the waist belt, so you're left with tons of extra webbing on both sides. So you'll probably, if you don't want a bunch of webbing hanging around, you'll probably want to at least cut that off and burn the end to tidy it up a little bit. The last thing I'll point out to you before I put it on and show you kind of how it fits and then get it into the tree to demonstrate to you is the weight. This is one of the heaviest saddles I've ever reviewed. It's 2 pounds, 14.5 ounces without the pouches. And from a construction standpoint, guys, I'll point out this is a made in China product. I know a lot of people are concerned about that, but from a sewing perspective, hopefully you can see that it's done pretty well. You know, I've seen far worse and I've seen better. You get a few loose strands like that one there, here or there, but by and large, I would say the sewing is above average. It's done well. So that's an overview of the design and the construction of the Trophyline Covert Lite. And now I'll put it on and show you kind of how it fits and give you some thoughts about it. Okay, so I just wanted to show you kind of how the saddle fits before I go into the tree. You can see, as I mentioned, tons of extra length on the waist belt. You'll probably want to trim that down. The saddle, just for reference, I'm pretty thin and I'm about a 32, 33 inch waist. These lineman belt loops are super far forward. You can see that. They come, I would call the point of my hip like right here, and they come out beyond that. I really don't like them that far forward. I would rather have them like right here on the point of my hip. So for me, they're probably 2 or 3 inches further forward. If you're more 35, 36 inch waist, they might be perfect. You can see, I would define this saddle as fairly bulky. The bridge loops are just kind of there, you know, they hang in front. You can try to take the bridge and tighten it down, but unlike the Util bridge with the tethered Phantom and some other designs, you can't really get that tight. I played around with a few different things, trying to take the carabiner and clipping it together. That seems to tighten it down a little bit, and then just take the bridge and tuck it in. So there's ways that it can kind of streamline a little bit, but it's just got a lot of material to it, and it's not one of the most streamlined options on the market, I can tell you that much. The leg straps work well. I'll kind of spin around and show you the back side of it. You can see this saddle is deep, so it rides up pretty high. I mean, up here, this is above my, or right at my hip bones, pretty much. And then it extends down pretty far. So I've gotten to the point where I don't really like these big one-piece saddles for walking in. It's way down below your butt, and it kind of rubs, and I just don't feel like they're very comfortable. If I were to walk in, I would let some length out of the leg straps, give it a little bit more range of motion, and it kind of hangs there. It's light, so it's not bothersome in the sense that it feels like it's sagging, but you can just feel the material kind of hitting you way down low in the legs, and I'm not a big fan of that, but it won't bother a lot of people. So hope that gives you an idea of how the saddle fits and kind of how compact or not compact it is. Let me get it in a tree and I'll give you some final thoughts on it. I wanted to show you guys a little bit about the Covert Lite in the tree and give you some of my thoughts on it. So here it is. I've got it set up. I've shortened the bridge a little bit, maybe 8 inches or so off the tag end, and that seems to be pretty comfortable for me. I would bet right now that it's somewhere in the 24 to 26 inch range, and I kind of like that. I've got it set up right now with these adjuster straps on the bottom pulled pretty close to all the way in. It looks like I could maybe go about another inch. And that, guys, it seems to work really, really well for sitting. When I slide into the tree like that saddle just cups my butt really, really well. And I have to say, I was not a big fan of the Trophyline Ambush Pro for sitting. But this saddle is light years ahead of the Ambush series if you are a sitter. I mean, that makes a big, big difference to me, guys. I have found tremendous comfort sitting in this saddle, which is a big improvement. The other thing that I was concerned about with this saddle was whether or not this piece of webbing that is kind of supplementary and runs through the middle of the saddle, whether that would cause any kind of hip pinch. Because when I looked at it, I saw 3 big straps coming together, and I thought, man, one of those is probably going to wind up on one of my bones and cause a pressure point. But it doesn't, because this middle strap doesn't seem to be pulled on. It just kind of ends right there. And that seems to get away any kind of pressure that would be on my hip bones. So that's not a concern at all either, guys. I find that with this saddle, it's nice to kind of run it up fairly high into the low of your back there. It gives a little bit of support, but then there's still plenty of fabric to come down underneath you. And you know, some saddles will come further down your legs. I'm not really a huge fan of that. I like it to kind of be just more centered so that I've got a little bit of mobility. And this saddle seems to just end right in the right spot. One of the complaints I have, potential complaint, I guess, not a huge deal, and it's probably just because I'm on the smaller side of the spectrum, but the bridge loops are pretty long, and so they wrap around my body quite a bit. I would prefer them to be a little bit shorter, but that does help reduce hip pinch, so it's kind of a give and take situation, but not a major flaw. The bridge, as you can see, is adjustable, but what you cannot do is adjust its position on the bridge loop. It pretty much just falls right in the middle. Theoretically, the girth hitch potentially could adjust on the one side, it doesn't seem to grab super tight to be able to do that. But on the other side, you've just got the carabiner, so that's not an option on that side. But bridge seems to work good. It adjusts well. The prusik knot grabs well, and you can see if I just grab here, you can adjust it really easy. So you can make quick adjustments to let it out. If I want to let it in, it's easy enough to do. It moves pretty quick. Unlike some of the Amsteel bridges that cinch down and are a total pain in the neck to try to get adjusted. So I want to show you too. I think if you're sitting, I would adjust these straps on the bottom all the way in. But for leaning, when I'm leaning, you know, it gets a little pressure underneath the back of your legs when you're doing that. So if you're leaning, I would suggest that you take some weight off of these. Now, they're not like, you can't just flip them over and adjust them. You have to really take some weight out of it and adjust it, and it's kind of hard to do in the tree. I thought it would be easier, but there it goes. And like I said, I think some of these things will get better with time, especially as the straps loosen up. There they go. So for leaning, you can see that I lost some support there, and I definitely can feel more of the saddle into my back. And to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of that. So even if I was leaning in this long term, I would probably take those in just a little bit more. So I took the adjusters in just a little bit. I probably brought them in 1.5 inches or 2, and that provides just enough tension underneath the bottom of the saddle that I feel like it's pretty well distributed across my back and then in through my butt for leaning. So if I was gonna lean, this is probably how I would run it. But other than that, guys, this is a comfortable saddle. It's a lot better than the Ambush series in my opinion. And if you're looking for a saddle at an affordable price, this is a great one to look at. I like the rope bridge. I like the pouches. I don't seem to have any pressure points, no hip pinch, and I think that's just due to the pure size of the saddle. You know, when they make these one-piece saddles more comfortable, they add more fabric, and that seems to make a difference. But neither one of these straps is crossing either my hip bone or my iliac crest. This top one's running just above my iliac crest, and so I don't think hip pitch is going to be a problem. But anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. Those are just some of my quick thoughts about the saddle and the tree. Overall, I'd say it's a good option. It's comfortable. I don't have many complaints with it, and I think it'll work well for guys that like to sit and who like to lean. Thanks for watching. I hope my thoughts on the Trophyline Covert Lite are helpful to you. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. I think this is a great saddle for somebody who's on a budget. You get a lot of bang for your buck. That they've made a lot of improvements over the Trophyline Ambush Pro Series, and I think this is going to be a good option for 2020 and into 2021. So hope this video is helpful. Once again, thanks for watching. We appreciate your support by liking and subscribing. We got more videos coming to you soon.